Hi, everyone. Welcome to this live transmission. Well, the purpose of this video, of this sharing, is to talk about the Buga Sphere and the Valdivia Sphere. I know that for some of you, when you listen to these names, you will be like, what is she talking about? Well, for the Americas, like mainly Mexico and South America, and some part of the United States, the Buga Sphere has been a big topic. Was this sphere that was captured in the city of Buga in Colombia, and it was seen levitating, spinning, and according to the story, the official story, they say that it hit a high voltage cable and that it generated an electric shock, an electric arc, and then the sphere slowly came down. For me, according to my research, and I mean, like in situ research, because I have been member of the most recent experiments done on the Buga Sphere and member of the research group. So in those most recent experiments, so then I have had the opportunity to experience a deeper connection with the Buga Sphere at so many levels, technologically wise, and also, let's say, from an etheric approach as well. And I will say why etheric in a bit. Well, I will just crack it down right now. Plasma physics, plasma, Planck plasma, ether, as the ether, plasma equals ether. So there is an explanation to ether from a quantum physics approach, as I have always said. And when you tap into that unified field, then it's easier actually to connect with higher truths. Because, I'm sorry, I was looking at some comments. But anyway, so when you tap into the unified field, you are connecting to the space memory network, to the quantum Akash or Akasha. And from that field, you can actually start receiving or outloading, as I say, deeper messages that are not only in the outside, yet they are encrypted within you. And this is why you are becoming aware of them. So now, hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. So now, the Buga Sphere has had a very specific time frame of research. It appeared last year, and ever since, a lot of experiments and lab tests have been applied to it. I will show one image for the ones that haven't seen it, I talked about this in my in my um, in my presentation in Sedona at the Rise of the Guardians conference. And there you go. Okay, so the Buga sphere is this sphere that you see here. Let me just, yeah, there it is. Okay, so the Buga sphere is what I call a spectral sphere. You see the symbol, and well, these are some slides that I presented actually at Sedona. But here, okay, so here you see the symbol. And this is spectral, this also known as a spectral sphere. I know that the spectral sphere is precisely related to light, to plasma. And then you will see an aluminum sphere. So then you will say, like, why? You know, if it's aluminum, why she calls it a spectral sphere? And the thing is that the content, what it's inside of the sphere, precisely shows, here is the sphere, you will see it, you know. Let me just double check that you have this on screen. Yes, you have it. Okay, so you will see here that the sphere has it's aluminum, an alloy with other type of materials like magnesium and manganesium and silica and other type of again components that are embedded within the very same structure, very weird, very hard type of aluminum alloy. And that if the sphere was purely aluminum, it would be weighing around 30 kilo. And this sphere weighs currently around 10 kilo and 800 grams. So now you might say, well, it's hollow in the inside. Yes, it's hollow, but the type of anomalies that it has shown, and sorry for the noise, the type of tests that have been applied to the Buga sphere have shown very specific anomalies, mainly in the last experiments, that even the sphere, when it was spinning, decreased its weight. Like it went lower in weight. It lost weight. And this experiment was conducted by David Avila Roldan, a dear friend of mine, and of course the rest of the team of the research of the Buga sphere, the Buga sphere research. And the thing is that once it imagine, just imagine that you have this sphere like this size, and ever since it was captured, it weighted like 2 kilo, from 2 to 2.5 kilo. The days as the days passed, it started gaining weight, all the way to the 10.800 kilo that it weighs now. And the thing is that when it was in this experiment, where you can see my picture, we started spinning it counterclockwise, and around 20 minutes after reaching a very specific speed, it started generating around 150 cycles per second. And the thing is that once it started increasing its speed, then it immediately lost weight. And that was something shocking, because after it lost that weight, it gained it again. So this is a huge anomaly, because how can you explain that? You know, how can you explain something losing weight and then immediately gaining it back again? We tested the scale, everything was good. And actually, due to these findings, is that we got to prevent that the Buga sphere would be opened, because at some point, Stephen Greer came uh, here to Mexico to get it open. So, due to this hard labor of this experiment, this machine that was put together by David Avila and the engineer um, um, Clemente, that was prevented. And of course, like all the support and all the tests that were run at different levels, which is where I come from, and that I also want to share with you some details about this. By the way, 150 revolutions per second. The the data that I just gave, 150 revolutions per second, was the speed in which the sphere was spinning, and that due to that, it showed that some heat happening, taking place inside of it, because we were scanning it with thermal readers, and it showed that it had an inner heat coming from it. So now that's another anomaly, because now if you read it, the sphere responds to very specific presence. If the what we would say in between us, if the sphere likes you, it will start communicating with you. If the sphere doesn't like you, it will shut down and be like a piece of metal, like a ball of metal. So now, this is why this is another thing that I ran into when it comes to the relationship that I have actually with the sphere. But before going there, I just want to say also that now we have the information about and other spheres, not only one, like a lot of spheres appearing in the skies in China, in Mexico, in other parts of Colombia, in the United States, like all of these spheres that are showing themselves, that have always been here, and that yet they were cloaking themselves. Why? Or that they were being cloaked, as a response of a higher intelligence that is commanding them. So then again, why are they now showing themselves? And the thing is that they are giving us a message, even through the very same code of the Buga sphere. Now, I'm going to save my comments for the about the Valdivia sphere for a bit. I will be commenting on that in a bit. But I just want to say there are many type of spheres. Like this spectral sphere technology goes from the ones that, according to, again, my research, my intuitive and experimental research in situ, that some of them were not man-made and that are very ancient, according to how we would address to them or describe them in a dating process. Some of them have been reversed engineered, which means that the government captured them, or they were handed in by some galactic groups, and they reversed engineered their technology to replicate it and use it for other purposes. The purposes of these highly advanced spectral spheres, using plasma technology, their purpose, it's not only to surveil an area, to capture or read data and then send it through an interface to the epicenter of the galactics that are running that that nexus or in charge of that nexus. They are also projecting and sending messages through them, encoding very specific architectures through them, architectures of reality. Why do I say this with such certainty? Well, I will show with you now. You see this image, and you see this being that, by the way, this image is was kindly facilitated by the AET tree, which is a group that, along with TEAM, the Earth Arc mission, we're doing amazing accomplishments. But that's another story. I will talk about that later. I just wanted to honor the founder of AET.tree, AET3 or AET3, try, that actually provided this amazing image of this tablet, my dear Pamela. So now, this, you can see here that there is this elongated skull being emitting light. And with the circuitry code that the Buga Sphere has here, holding it at the level of its chest. Then he is encapsulated in what we could relate to as Stargate. And from there, he is projecting all the way through what we could consider a sphere of reality, a wormhole, into as light into this reality. Now, there are also other type of, we can see how they are, the spaceship, from the spaceship there are coming several spheres. And we have here all the code. All these tablets are ancient. We can see the presence of this circuitry code all over. And well, here you can see it, clearly. So what does this code represent? Before saying that, I will just, I will mention a bit about it. I translated this code, code in very much resonance with this code, 7 years ago. I will share the image in a bit. I have already shown it in other shows. Yet it is a key. Yes, it is a circuitry, yet it opens realities that connect us to a very specific lattice, to a very specific matrix. A lattice and matrix that was the one prevailing at that time where these beings are seen. And hi, dear ones. So this circuitry code is a key, again, that also intertwines itself to restore or to activate or to harness very specific information encoded, that was encoded at that time, that is shown through those beings, for us to remember now. Because every time that we see that code within our own holographic vessel, there is very specific information within our dormant DNA that is reactivated. Because mirroring into the nexus of the Earth, our DNA mirroring into the space memory network, it's not that I'm saying that we are, like rendered as this chip or as this circuit. What I'm saying is that when you use that circuitry code as a key, as the code that I will share with you, that is the one that I translated more than 7 years ago, the way that the holofractal field works is through a high level of coherence in the gradients of light. So this code emits a very specific light that once it is shown into the awareness of people, they are reactivating it through the lattice that bridges us from this reality to the primordial matrix. Why? Because these beings that are shown in these depictions knew what would be happening. So they made themselves sure that when the moment came, we would be remembering, we could be accessing to the geometries, to the codes that are in resonance to that primordial matrix that in which they were living in and through, so that it ripples all the way and come back online. This is why we also see that these beings and that these spheres are in other tablets above pyramids, because they were signaling the codes that would be imprinted on the pyramids, and that then through that piezoelectric process would be an oscillating process, would be continuously generating through that vacuum fluctuation the 0 point energy that would be encoding this information and then being transmitted through the waters, through then captured by the obelisks or received by the obelisks, and then sent as an emission. Kind of what has been tried to do with Wi-Fi and 5G, and because they are reverse engineering kind of that technology, but of course with other frequencies, with other purposes. So the purpose of this was to remain the unified field, the unity consciousness within all beings, the high coherence and structure. And because again, it is the bridge, the technological bridge from source to the primordial field. And in this case, for at that time, and for us now, it is the bridge between this reality to the primordial field. This is this technological bridge from this reality all the way to the primordial field. Because then again, it becomes more of this code, which is an I. And you will see the I very present. This is a key. And you will see this symbol as well in other ancient alien artifacts. I have shown some of them. And the difference between what we would call the cube or the chip and the I is that the I represents the black hole of creation, the beginning of all forms of life through source. Because again, everything within everything resides a black hole. Every proton is constructed or constituted by a black hole. Tiny black bodies. And as I always say, very different from the story that we have been told about what a black hole is. A black hole is actually pretty stable. Why? Because it has plasma within all its layers. At some point, the layer of plasma that it has almost touching the event horizon creates a high stability in the black hole. So let me put it in other words. What this eye represents is the eye of source. Everything is perception. What do we know about consciousness and awareness. That consciousness can only be when there is an observer, the one that perceives, the one that sees. And sees is in a very literal form. But what does black holes do? They receive light and they emit light. So it's this exchange of information, this exchange of light, that of light, life, that this symbol is telling us about the nature of reality, the nature of the cosmos, translated through quantum physics, translated through spirituality, because we also see this eye in a lot of spiritual reliefs. So, and depictions. So now, hi everyone. Yes, I agree. The artifacts in Ojuelos are mind blowing. So anyway, now showing another image. Okay, so I talk in the title, in the description of this video, about the spectral geometry transceiver that I translated. So I translated this, I designed this spectral geometry transceiver about just by the time that that I became a formal member of the research group in the Buga Sphere. I started to translate. It came to me that we have cymatics, which is translating frequency into sound. Yet what if we could translate geometries into sound? And of course, the first comments were like geometries or bidimensional drawings don't emit any frequency. I know that in a very literal reality. Yet the light, the colors, the relief, the different textures that they have, they're emitting frequency because the universe reads through frequency, energy, and vibration. So when you're capable to capture that through a very specific system of geometrical scanning, of geometrical, once you scan it, you read it in a very specific way, making it groups through measuring angles, through measuring, because the angles construct precisely the geometry, which is bent light. The angles is the light bent. So, and the angles, this is also very much encoding the word angels, the ones who bend light, which are also plasma beings. So now, once I started working on that, and then from that geometrical form of creating these groups through the angles, well, through the way of ordering how these geometries encoded in different symbols can be organized by the angles that they generate, and the very specific, not only saying, okay, this one has an angle, this one has two angles as the numbers. No, it's measuring the angle and knowing that even if it's not exactly the same, each one is generating a very specific token that it can be related through proximity. So once I started working on that, at least in other ancient texts, but in this case, I used it not for the codes that are in the surface circle, the codes that everyone sees, the ones that I was showing here, not these ones. Not the ones that are there here in this circle. Those symbols, like you can see here, and the ones that Dr. Agnese Satori translated in a beautiful way, that I have read the message several times in other shows, because it's very consistent to what we are experiencing and seeing right now, or rendering as a reality, as a collective. And even talks about the beginning of creation. So it's type of a genesis or genesis, how I call it, the like the story of creation compressed in a ring of engravings of letters that have been related to the Proto-Sanskrit or pre-Sanskrit. So, but now, as I mentioned this, I have talked about this message in other videos. So if you want to know what the message is, you can look in my YouTube channel, because I have this in one of the videos that I say the true research on the Buga Sphere and so forth. So anyway, where I got these codes that I translated through the Spectral Geometry Transceiver are some codes that Tom, who was a colleague in the research in this recent experiments done to the Buga Sphere, Tom Ebeling, he found some codes that are very subtly marked. So we started reading those patterns. Each one did its own research, and what I found is that these codes are showing eigen modes, and the eigen modes are the ones that construct precisely geometry. So these eigen modes are speaking geometries, and that's what I read through the spectral geometry transceiver. The geometries that are being expressed by those eigen values, not eigen modes, eigen values. And well, eigen modes and eigen values both. So, and they work, which is the most amazing thing, they work through a triplets resonance, which is highly resonating and signaling innerly to our body. How? Through our mitochondrion. Because our mitochondrion and our mainly the microtubules in our mitochondrion, what they, in connecting to the neurons, the microtubules connecting to the neurons, and through the microtubules, the mitochondrion travel, as tubes, as wormholes. The mitochondria are traveling through those microtubules. The microtubules are pulsing in terahertz, generating triplets of triplets by means of these trine groups. What do we see here? A triangle. So everything is precisely orchestrated in a way that it's not only that they wanted to give to us those messages, is that the frequency that they were generating with all these components is perfect. And by perfect, I mean the perfect in the way that it is communicating with us. Not perfect because this is the perfect engraving, because it's not. Like, this engraving could have been done later after the sphere was done. So now I'm just going to share this image, and we'll see that I ran into something fascinating, which is Pamela again, my dear friend, did me the favor, Pamela Gillett, did me the favor to run the frequencies that I sent to her, that I decoded from the Buga Sphere, from the eigen values that I read and again translated from the Buga Sphere subtle marks around its whole surface. And once I sent to her the whole frequency that I translated from all the symbols, when she played it through a frequency generator and put it on the Chladni plates, it showed So that frequency, if you listen to it, is the frequency that I translated. It's the frequency that was generated after the translation that I came up with through the spectral geometry transceiver. And to my surprise, it's a cube composed of 9 spheres, which is precisely the space geometry that constructs any form of cube. 9 spheres per face, 9 voxels per face. Have you seen those magic squares? You know, like the Sator Rotas, that, or even the Navrajas in the Vedic tradition of astrology, how, or science of astrology, how they show these cubes based on the 9 code. It's because this reality was configured onto 9 densities. This one, I'm not talking about beyond this reality. This is why to enlighten our plasma body, we need to reach 9 toruses, scientifically proved. You know, because the universe in this reality goes all the way into 9 densities that get to then continue replicating infinitely. So, and this cube, we can see that it's like the cube here. There we go. And the same cube, without spheres, of course, that was found in the second CT scan done on the Buga Sphere. So another thing, another anomaly that I also shared in the first video that I did on this is that the Buga Sphere has shown different shapes in its inside throughout every scan that has been done on it, CT scan. The first one, it showed the famous look like Tesla tower or coil, Tesla coil. And that a lot of people was thinking that it had literal a Tesla coil there, but the different gradients of light that it was showing, you could see that there were different types of state of matter that it was showing, given a type of gas that was leaking from some contained type of structure. But now look what it's showing. It's showing a square. So what is this telling us? This is again the second CT scan. What is this telling us? That it's communicating different messages every time. Why? Because it wants to communicate with us. More than levitating, it wants to communicate with us, and it's communicating with us. So now, in comparison to the, I'm just going to try to see, where are you? Okay. So now, in comparison to the second official Buga Sphere, that everyone was calling it like the sister of the Buga Sphere, the Valdivia Sphere, because it was found in the city or in the town of Valdivia in Colombia. I was at the Rise of the Guardians conference, and I saw the picture, and I was like, I didn't give it a lot of attention, not because I was there and doing other things. It didn't resonate that much at that moment. So when I came to Mexico, people started asking me, you know, what did I think about it? If I knew something about it, what was happening with that? And then JP sent to me this image, which, let me show it to you. This has been shown in media, so it's nothing new, nothing secret, but there you go. Okay, so this image, when JP sent it to me, I said, no, there is something so off about it. Why? The difference in the CT scans, as you saw the first one, and even if you see the first one, you will see that it shows different types of gradients of light, which give away the different types of state of matter or even materials that it has. So this one is showing even in different colors, but it's showing definitely something physical in comparison to the Buga sphere. You couldn't see whether if it was something physical. Even a lot of people thought it was an object there. But I will just say this. If you put inside a highly asymmetrical object inside of a sphere, it doesn't matter, because the moment that if it spins 700 and to the 720 degrees, or let's say to all directions, not just a uniform spin, like in this case, imagine, it will still be asymmetrical. Imagine. But if it moves and spins to all directions in the crescent of its 720 degrees, then it becomes symmetrical, like a coin. You spin it. Or even geometry, like even if it's showing like edges, like a star, it's symmetrical. You spin it, it becomes a sphere. But the thing here is, if you spin this, it will unify itself, yes, but it will still be asymmetrical. So where I'm heading to with this, the thing is that with the Buga sphere, with that Tesla coil figure that it showed in the first CT scan, if you spin it, it unifies. Not as in this case. You can test it. You can look in the website, the images of the first CT scan done on the Buga sphere, and then you can see how it spins, and you will see that it unifies because of the way that it was positioned. Even though it's not, symmetrical, but the way that it was positioned, it unifies itself because it was across the equatorial. This is not across the equatorial line. This is north to south. If you spin it, it will remain north, all the form in north and all the form in south. It will unify, but it won't become symmetrical. What happens from this is that you don't get a sustainable or a stable technology with this. Due to this. So now, even though there is no Tesla coil inside of the Buga sphere, and it was just giving messages, what perhaps free energy? What about the cube? Oh, how many codes are there about the cube? And also we have some UAPs that show a cube, and then the cube that is surrounded by what could be called as a vacuum gel. And so it's showing us that there is a very specific technology that is pointing out to how UAPs work. Haven't we seen these plasmoids? So what happens with the cube, and I also shared this in my presentation at the Rise of the Guardians, what happens with that is that when you get a cube and compress it, I mean an octagon, and you compress it, you get a cube. And with you expand it and you play expanding and imploding, you get the vector equilibrium geometry, which is the isotropic field, vacuum field. So anyway, so I might show a few images right now, but anyway, so right now about this structure is, from my humble perception from the very beginning, even before Jaime Maussan, who has the sphere now, did some experiments on it and proved that that it is false. When people was reaching out to me, I said the same thing weeks ago, and Jaime Maussan has yesterday given its official report. So weeks ago, I was saying that this looks highly human made. You see, you have this sphere, you have like this, look even here, and like this coils, or bobbins. And the thing is that, look, they say Jaime said that even it had been opened before, and hey, I am there. It had been opened before by the people that captured it. Let's look at the story. Some farmers called in William Zuniga, who is a famous or renowned person in South America for doing archaeology projects and retrieving, like ancient artifacts and other type, like decodes ancient symbols and so forth. So he was called to go to this place where in the Valdivia's valley. He was called by these farmers, hey, come, we saw a sphere circling in the sky, then it fell. It has been 3 days since then, and it hasn't levitated back again. So for me, that's the first inconsistency, which is, were they all the time there seeing if the sphere would levitate back again? Was someone there guarding all the time? Why didn't they go? Perhaps they were afraid of some radioactivity characteristic or technology coming from the sphere. Okay. But let's say, okay, they were all the time there guarding the area. Then William Zuniga comes, and he comes with a lot of equipment that he got to test the sphere. He did it. There are videos on that if you want to check out in the online. And then they took the sphere to El Potro, the guy who retrieved, or the guy who received the first Buga sphere, and then he took it to Jaime. And then this guy, Potro, opened it. And then put it back together. Another inconsistency, because as I mentioned earlier in this video, the Buga sphere has never been opened. Why? Steven Greer at the beginning wanted to do that. We convinced him through this experiment that David Avila Roldan came up with, amazingly on time, so that experiment, that test, highly invasive test, would be stopped. And then Stephen Greer became aware that it could be a great risk because the sphere was showing energy production inside. It was generating Tesla volts, 2,100 Tesla volts through that 150 revolutions per second or spin. So now, okay, the Valdivia sphere was opened. Then Jaime also did some official reports that the material found inside of this Valdivia sphere was a highly suspicious, they found even some type of plastic instead of the fiber optic, no fiber optic as in the Buga Sphere. And this type of plastic, it's not in the same field of high technology. And another thing, mainly when we're talking about 0-point energy, and another thing that was found in the sphere is a type of oil inside of it. Besides the fact that the structure that is inside of it is, again, for me, it reminded me of these reproductions of perhaps in some Atlantean times we did have that, but definitely non-metal. And it was more about crystalline structures at the center and, around it, and well, perhaps around it, and then a plasma sphere at the center. So, but that is pure metal. And just to say one thing, that famous sphere that you can see in different, like all over the media, like has like a circle or dot of copper on the top. This type of spheres, however, have been found in Arizona, smaller ones. So this is the thing. Why would they made this false sphere and put it and take it all the way to Maussan so that he could prove it false? Well, one of the reasons is because they really want to mess with the importance. I don't want to assume or confirm on this, but perhaps what they're trying to do is to generate confusion and for people try to generalize that all spheres are reverse engineered, that all spheres are false or whatever. What I can tell you is that the Buga sphere is definitely showing plasma technology behavior. It's definitely the foundations, let's say, instead of behavior. Well, the behavior is showing another type of behavior, but it's definitely showing plasma technology in the way that it behaves, in the way that it that the CT scans are showing, and the way that the fiber optic, along with the inner core, along with the circuitry, is behaving, along with the experiment spinning and then losing weight. I mean, and plasma technology is very advanced. I'm not saying that we don't have that plasma technology, yet I am saying that if you put that together with, well, you unify that along with the carbon-14 organic tests that were done to the Buga sphere, taking resin from the fiber optic that gave away 2,560 years old, that is very much consistent to the younger Dryas, then it's putting the sphere as a very ancient sphere. And at that time, humanity didn't have that level of technology. So now, then we have my personal story that the times that I have interacted with the Buga sphere, it has definitely shown that there are beings communicating through it to us, at least to me. But I'm not the only one. A lot of people has had dreams with it, has had, they say that they talk to them even before them seeing it physically, or or that it just comes to their field in a meditation. So the thing is that all of this, I even showed the image of this plasma being. I saw that being first when I was meditating for the second time with the Buga sphere. I saw it, and then I in through my third eye, and then David in his book has the picture of this tablet that I showed of this being. And by the way, I will soon be doing an interview with him. So if you want to get his book, which is in Spanish, he will soon be translating it in English. Stay tuned for the show that I will be doing with him. So anyway, now that type of connection, you cannot make it up. Like, I saw the being before seeing the tablet, you know. So yes, through the psychics that, or the psionics that could be translated in many forms, perhaps I was seeing ahead of time what I will be seeing, but I'm very sure of how that being presented to me coming through my connection to the Buga Sphere. So there is a very specific type of intelligence transmitting through the Buga Sphere, for sure. And this code is super important. The message that I can transmit to you is that it comes from the Council of Nine. And the Council of Nine, I won't go through the whole story of it right now because I'm wrapping up the video now. But the council, I will be doing it in another one. The Council of Five is here. I mean, of Nine is here now to, has always been observing Earth and sending this. Actually, they're very much behind the creation of these spheres in a very complex form, because again, I won't go in detail through that. I will talk about this in my next video, or in an upcoming video, because I will be doing the one in going deep into the Lemurian Hall of Records. But anyway, so this Council of Nine are supporting humanity throughout this stage of evolution. For remember, that code that it's encrypted within this inorganic, like hybrid matrix, to breach into the primordial matrix. So having said this, I wonder if people like Don Juan and people like him, the shaman from Carlos Castañeda, were interacting. Absolutely, I can tell you. I can tell you because Don Juan is my dear friend, elder, a big hawk. I know he most likely won't be watching this, but sending lots of love to and gratitude also to Max Ocelotl. We'll be soon disclosing very interesting things, so stay tuned. He's the elder of Tula. And thank you so much. All of this, remember, all of this is related to the native tribes, indigenous tribes, in Deu, God within. These elders and the communities hold major codes that breach also the galactic groups, the technologies that they left underground, to pass it on to through traditions, shamanic, wisdom, however you want to call them, for us to integrate it and embody it. Because that's where what we call as Lemuria and Atlantis come together. They represent that Lemurian code of connecting with the land, being the land, honoring the land. And this technological aspect, of course, the Atlantean, when they merge together, remember, without heart, without spirit, these technologies are so powerful that someone without its consciousness in access can lose it. So to remain in access, to remain in love and purpose for this mission, I really marveled of how many words in English, when you integrate the this plus the other word, they mean the opposite thing. So, like incoherence, incoherence. It's in the coherence. But that does also happens in Spanish and all the languages, because precisely they try to, words are so important. And speaking of which, I will end this video with this thought. When we speak the language of light through the purity that comes from within our heart vortex, we activate the highest technology, which is that in consequence activates the technology that resides without. Thank you so much for your comments. Thank you so much for your time. Until, thank you. Lots of love, Lana, Shisamu Kadam, Ceci, Tori, Nasir, Hawks. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Until next time. HUNUH. Oh, and thank you for everyone that is doing such a remarkable job in this research of bringing all these ancient technologies back online. Thank you. Now, until next time. HUNUH.